Hey, this is Majanoni. Here's some comic reviews for you. Now, we'll start off with Justice League Suicide Squad number 5 and Justice League number 13. Because these two books are really tied in together. Like, if you were holding out and not getting this crossover and you were just getting Justice League, you just got yourself screwed. Because basically what happens in this issue, we have Maxwell Lord basically getting the that diamond of dark or crystal of darkness, and he basically he takes control over the Justice League, or the bulk of the Justice League except for Batman. And then there's also the Suicide Squad. Now, and he basically sends the Justice League to basically take over the United States. This issue here is basically from Steve Trevor's point of view, and also a little bit of what happened in this issue. But this issue here, the crossover book, it really shows the formation of Batman taking control over the Suicide Squad and calling them like welcome to the Justice League type thing. Now, to compare the two books, I mean, the art in this book here is just fantastic. It's really, really well done. You can kind of see the corruption of Max and how the Eclipso is taking over him. And overall, this was great. The one thing that kind of was interesting for me was how it's like, okay, granted, he took over the country, but then he's like, well, you know what, it's not quite right. Something's missing. So he's got to get Amanda, and then basically he's using Amanda like, look what I did. Look at my accomplishment type thing. Now, this book here, like I mentioned before, was dealing with what's going on with Steve Trevor. You get to see a little bit more of what's going on in the streets, but you get the idea from that in the crossover book. You get to see the Justice League take over the United States, but it's like you really are missing a significant piece of what the story is. I don't think the art is as good in this issue as compared to the Justice League crossover book. And I have to admit, I'm really happy with the pacing that this is going. It's not slowing down. Just when you think it might slow down, nope. It's Batman gets the Suicide Squad together, and now they're going to go off to do some battle. And I like that way that is going, for sure. Overall, I have to admit, this is 2 thumbs up for these 2 books, for sure. Even though I didn't like the art as much in the Justice League. And, for me, it's like who cares about the Steve Trevor point of view? But as a whole, I thought both of them were still good. Alright, Batman 15. Oh, man, Batman. They basically, Batman and Catwoman basically say they love each other. And just when, Batman thinks everything's okay, he got himself Catwoman, he's going to take her back into prison, she basically bails on him, which is, what do you expect? But, the one thing I will say is the one thing you never want to probably ever happen is standing in front of the mirror in, your underwear and, a tank top, talking about yourself, and then Batman shows up in the bathroom watching you. You don't know how long he's been there, and you don't know what he's heard, and then on some level he's judging you, But besides that, the rest of this issue is him on the quest to get Catwoman back, so that way he can take her into prison like he's supposed to. And this was actually I'm torn with it, because on one level there's this really weird sentimental part to it. There's another part where it's like, okay, does Catwoman really love Batman, or is she just playing him? But and this argument's going to go down forever. I think there's significant evidence on both sides to stake a claim. But personally, based on the way this issue ended, I think basically she really genuinely feels something for him. And, poor Batman, he's like, Alfred, she got away with it. And Alfred's like, what are you talking about? I checked everything. She didn't take anything. I double, triple checked it. Nothing was stolen. He's like, Alfred, she took the night. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm so done with this book. But, you know what? He's right, in a way. They had a very special, moment, you can say, on the rooftop. And, if she had gone straight into jail, like she was supposed to, then, Batman's in control of the situation. But, with her escaping and the events that occurred afterwards, she basically took that. And now, she took it for herself then. Even though, because of the fact she got away. And that on that level, there's always going to be that question, did Batman get played so she can escape? The truth also, I haven't been reading Catwoman, but the truth about whether or not she killed all those people also come out. So that part was also, I was actually glad to see that, because as I haven't been reading, I did not read Catwoman, so I don't know what happened in that. But, so that's why I thought that was a good timing for that to come out. Alright, Superman number 15. On one level, this was good, and the other level was a letdown. The letdown part was because I thought the last issue was great in the sense that here are these characters are coming in, they're just kicking ass, taking down Superman. And in this issue here, it's more of a, okay, what's going on here? Get me up to speed. Okay, I understand what you guys are doing. What do you mean there's different Supermen? And then we get to actually see all the different Earths, or a bunch of different Earths, not all of them. And we get to see the different Supermen. There's like a League of Assassins, Justice League. It's just like, there's a lot of little, there's also like some old standbys like the Freedom Force. And overall, I thought the book was good. It's going in the right direction, at least. And there's, like I said, there's other characters that make their appearance that we haven't seen in a long time. Even going back to Crisis. So I thought that part was good too, and that it's kind of like they're bringing key people back, so to speak. And overall, while I am a little bit down on the excitement level, I thought that it was still building it up. For nostalgia level, I thought that part was good, showing the older characters, and it's the next issue is set up for a big fight, so I can't really complain that much. The art is still decent, so I'm not even complaining about that either. Alright, Monsters Unleashed. Oh, I forgot to mention about Justice League. With the Justice League taking over the United States, there should be consequences, and I know there's not going to be. That's the disappointing part. Alright, anyways, Monsters Unleashed. You have Kid Kaiju. Kid Kaiju is drawing monsters, and they're crash landing on the Earth, and they're all over the planet, wreaking havoc. Now, I understand what Marvel did. Like, for example, the new Avengers take New York. You have the X-Men, I believe, took Europe. You have the Inhumans somewhere else. Then you have Guardians of the Galaxy somewhere else. And basically every champions somewhere else. And basically what they've done is they were able to carve out all of their miniseries. This way, okay, you have the Avengers taking this area, so all of the Avengers can now fight monsters in this area. That's their own 5-issue miniseries. The X-Men, same thing. Inhumans, same thing. But when you look at the situation realistically, all right, you have the champions. Maybe or maybe not, they might be in New York. Would they really, if a monster appeared like in, let's say, Australia, would they really take the time to fly to Australia to save the day, so to speak? X-Men, yeah, I can see them go to Europe just because they can teleport from Limbo. Inhumans, okay, I can understand Crystal to a point if the monsters happen to be in her general area, but it's the whole gang. And Guardians of the Galaxy, logically they should be in New York, but they're scattered. But yet here they are as a team fighting. And so my logic side said this just can't happen. And I think that where I'm thinking that it was maybe a missed opportunity is where they could have had, for an example, some of the European heroes. They could have had the Russian superheroes. They can have different types of heroes from the different countries that they haven't used in years. And like for an example with the Inhumans, if Crystal so happened to be there with her team, then they could have had a mixture of those characters. Same with the X-Men, same with Champions, Guardians. You could have, let's say, Rocket Raccoon with the Avengers. You could have had Star-Lord with the Inhumans, for an example. I mean, you could have done so many different things. You could have made interesting team dynamics, things that we've never seen before. But all they did was they just went with, well, if it has X-Men on it, we know this will sell so much. If it has Avengers, it will sell so much. Inhumans, so much. And hopefully, because it's a crossover, we'll get a 15% bump. And, I think that part was where I was extremely disappointed. Now, the art I thought was good. I thought some of the monster designs were... The monster designs are what they are. They're giant creatures. It's for fun type thing. Some of them look a little corny, but it is what it is. Overall, the story is okay. It's, I have a feeling maybe if they didn't just basically throw everything out at the same time, maybe the story could have developed better. But I think in this case, you're almost going to have to get all of these side stories just to figure out everything. But I'm going to resist that temptation, and I'm not even going to bother. This is all you get, and I'm not picking up the extras, because that's going to be crazy. I'm not going to get burned, in the event that doesn't happen. But I think the thing is, at least with this here, the art is so strong that it, I have to give it the pass. There is a little bit of humor here and there. There's decent writing. So overall, I thought this was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Alright, Clone Conspiracy. Okay, here's the deal. Both of these books intersect each other. But this is the book you have to read first. Because this is the part where Ben Reilly brings Spider-Man to the secret lair, so to speak. And he's got the remains of Ben Parker with him. Now, oops, did I get that confused? I hope not. Nope, I didn't. Okay, yeah, this is the one where he brings Parker to the gang. And in this issue here, well, there's a little bit of crossover. This is where you have Gwen confronting Peter, talking about, hey, I'm really Gwen, and Peter's like, well, I don't know. I can't tell. To me, you're a clone. She basically forgives them, and then bad things start happening. Now, you don't know why bad things are happening unless you read this book. Then you figure everything out. And then when you combine both of these together, you get the big picture of what's about to occur. Now, the one thing I will say, which if I was Peter, I cannot believe this was not mentioned. Okay, you have Peter and Gwen alone together. They're talking about forgiveness. They're being very honest with their feelings. Why didn't Peter say, Gwen, it's not because you're a clone. It's because you slept with Norman Osborn and you had kids and he didn't tell me. Why'd you do it? That's what he should have done. And that did not happen in this issue. It's like they completely erased that from continuity, which I'm sure they probably did with Secret Wars. They just didn't tell us that it got erased, because we'll probably never see those characters ever again, because that series sucked so bad. Now, overall, is it worth it getting? It's really hard to say. I think for me, part of it's just this disappointment that's waiting to happen. I'm afraid it's just gonna fail miserably. I do like how they're swerving the ending, so to speak. You know, they've already teased at what's going to happen, but at least now they're going towards that direction, which is encouraging. And but overall, I'm still not 100% on board. But I think that with these two issues, it helped the story along better. But anyways, that's the reviews for this week. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. Like, share. I'm going to try to do something for those Valiant books later this week. And expect a manga or two video reviews too. So anyways, like, share. Let me know what you guys liked the most, what you didn't like. We'll have more stuff later. So until next time.